What's up, everyone? Welcome to the, what was going to be the second video in my series, what I'm calling the 2020 Haunt Vlogs, a video series that will hopefully help supplement the lack of an actual haunt season. But before you say anything, this video really isn't a vlog at all. This is actually an in-depth look at everyone's favorite and most famous part of Knott's Scary Farm, the mazes. As you may or may not know, I've been a monster since 2014 and a huge Knott's nerd since probably 2004, so I thought I'd put my extensive knowledge and professional opinion to good use. It's incredible to think that the first haunt in 1973 was supposed to be a small Halloween party with only one maze attraction, when the present version, containing a multitude of mazes, has come to be what defines not only Knott's Scary Farm, but every Halloween theme park event you can find. Whether you call it a maze or a house, you can trace its roots right back here to Knott's Scary Farm. In this video, we will be examining the scream of the crop, if you will, of the past and even present to rank the top 10 Knott's Scary Farm mazes. This list goes back to the early 2000s, and the mazes on this list are a combination of popular mazes, unique mazes, mazes that were groundbreaking, mazes that were influential, or just mazes that I think are super rad and exemplify what a Knott's Scary Farm maze should be. So buckle up, my spooky friends, and let's dive right into the fog with...
Number 10. Slaughterhouse.
The Slaughterhouse is a great maze for setting the bar. It's an excellent example of what we have all come to love and expect from a Knott's maze. The design team loves to use the hellbilly theme, and these crazy cannibals using Uncle Willie's barbecue as their front is an exciting take on a classic idea. It has many of the recurring design staples, it's got a dash of comedy, and it gets pretty scary too. The creep factor is upped by the countless mutilated victims and the connection to familiar and possibly historically accurate subject matter. The 6-season run is a testament to how popular this maze truly was. I still catch nostalgic whispers recounting this beloved classic.
Number 9. Las Vegas.
Though it only lasted 3 seasons, this maze had one of the most unique and interesting themes ever put into play by the creative team at Knott's. The best way to describe this maze is all the trippy parts of fear and loathing happening right in front of you, but also everyone is undead. You can even hear Johnny Depp's famous monologue on the soundtrack. As if that wasn't enough, this maze was in 3D. For just a few extra bucks, you could purchase your 3D glasses right at the entrance of the maze. You probably didn't want to go in this maze if you were under the influence, though. Las Vegas was a one-way ticket to a bad trip. It's easy to create a maze based around vampires or clowns, but this maze threw tradition to the wind and actually ended up being a great addition to the lineup at the time and a great way to utilize their 3D technology. I would have loved to scare in this maze. I can see a lot of unique scaring opportunities.
Number 8. Tooth Fairy.
Now you may say that I am biased, but Tooth Fairy is just an all-around great maze, regardless of my history and attachment. This maze has a lot going on. It plays on a real fear, the story is vivid and easy to follow, the characters are mostly recognizable, but these cogs all work in harmony to create a spooky masterpiece. The story takes you from a more believable world to a terrifying nightmare, which makes for a unique and totally creepy design. Blood and guts everywhere is always a nice homey touch. It really hits all the marks of what an excellent maze should be. Because this story is designed around a fear of the dentist, many people were able to have a connection with the subject matter, which makes it that much more terrifying. I do, however, think it cured my fear of the dentist.
Number 7. Dark Ride.
There are a handful of recycled themes that Knott's loves, and creepy clowns are at the top of that pile. This maze, however, is a complete departure from the neon colors and potty humor so prevalent in virtually all of its predecessors. Dark Ride is unique in how it is meant to blend into the theme park it's right in the middle of. In this maze, you make your way through an abandoned Dark Ride attraction that has since been taken over by the freakish performers who know it so well. Even the kitschy set designs that reflect an old carnival ride have a menacing presence. These clowns are much more believable and definitely spookier than their ancestors. This seems to allude to a new direction for future clowns, and I look forward to that transition.
Number 6. Terror Vision.
There was a time when Knotts loved to consistently poke fun at pop culture by creating their own cheesy knockoffs and inserting them into their haunt attractions. This is the epitome of that idea. This maze takes you through the circuits and tubes to view spooky facsimiles of your favorite classic TV shows that hopefully didn't get them sued. That star tracheotomy room with the Michael Myers mask? Great nod to a fun horror fact. This maze was less about being scary and more about being appealing to a wide audience. Parodies are always a surefire tactic. Even Grandma would get a kick out of seeing Killigan's Island or the Brady Bunch. That heavy soundtrack is totally mosh-worthy.
Number 5. Asylum.
This was one damn scary maze. It was such a frightening experience that the designer reportedly stated that he assumed no one liked the maze due to the unusually silent guest exiting. Yeah, it was that freaky. As you walk through the dilapidated halls of the aptly named Mangler Asylum, you are greeted by all manner of insane inmates as well as the psychotic staff. You are thrown in the middle of their disturbed world, which is reminiscent of the worst parts of the infamous institutional expositions of the early 70s. Asylum is one of the earliest mazes that I experienced, and I still consider it to be one of my favorite mazes of all time. Many of the classic tropes and gags were utilized, but with a very dark and disgusting twist. The low lighting and dingy design really cranked up the creep factor as well. In an era amid some more cheeky and lighthearted mazes, this one embodied a darker edge that would come to define the next era of mazes. The maze even had a second incarnation from 2009 to 2011 known as Lockdown the Asylum, which means this maze was around for a total of 8 years, which is like 150 in human years.
Number 4. Trapped.
Asylum was horrifying, but Trapped is regarded as the absolute scariest maze Knotts has ever dared to put guests through. Knotts has and had a strict no-touching policy for monsters, but when you pay a few extra bucks and sign a waiver, all bets are off. That's right, these monsters would grab, prod, push, and do whatever it took to give an experience unlike any other attraction before and since. Apart from being molested by monsters, you were subjected to a blaring soundtrack, complete darkness, confined spaces, and even eating cockroaches. It even required guests to be made aware of a safe word, granting an early exit right out the side door should it be too intense. This maze technically lasted 3 seasons, however it was almost completely redone each year. The only reason this maze did not make the top 3 is because it was an upcharge attraction that sold out every single night, which limited capacity and turned off broke guests like me who could barely afford admission into the park in the first place. This was the only maze on this list that I was unable to experience, and I will forever regret it.
Number 3. Origins, Curse of Calico.
Now, Origins is basically a love letter to Haunt and its history. It is the ultimate maze for the die-hard fan and the perfect introduction for the first-time guest. It gives us a visual story of the supposed history of the cursed monsters of Scary Farm, specifically Ghost Town. It is chock full of recognizable characters, familiar locales, some lesser-known Easter eggs, and of course the story of the Green Witch, Sarah Marshall, that has been present in the park for many years. Origins makes it to top 3 because it is literally the maze embodiment of Knott's Scary Farm and the Ghost Town that set the stage for this nearly 50-year-old event. This maze focuses on the past, but it is definitely one we can examine to get an idea of what the future of Haunt has in store. I think that each scare zone should have a maze like this to better explain what the zone is and how it came to be. The overall experience would be greatly enhanced if backstories were more prevalent and even intertwined with one another, as they are all at least rumored to be.
Number 2. Forevermore.
This maze was absolutely incredible. I remember walking through this maze with my jaw on the floor as I tried to take all the details in. The only bad thing I can say is that Forevermore wasn't around for nearly as long as it should have been. Forevermore was scary, it was beautiful, it was elaborate, and so immersive that it was impossible not to know what was happening in the story, even if you weren't familiar with the writings of Poe. If the maze's name sounds familiar, it's because it's a play on Nevermore, quote the Raven, and every room within was tied to an Edgar Allan Poe tale. The maze started in the queue as a news report played on monitors to make us aware of the notorious Forevermore killer. As we traverse this particularly long maze, we see the killer's gruesome work, which has been motivated by the works of Poe. The setup made it feel as though you could very easily have made a wrong turn and ended up in this twisted killer's world. The story seems like a borrowed IP from a classic horror film, but it was a completely original idea that, let's face it, would have been a much better film than the Vincent Price, Roger Corman films of the early 60s. Knott has brought back past mazes on occasion, and this is the first maze I would want to return to the park. The 50th anniversary is around the corner, a guy can dream, right?
And the number one maze at Knott's Scary Farm is Special Ops Infected.
Alright, you should have known this was going to be number one all along. This was one of the most popular mazes by far, and for good reason. This maze was so big they had to cut the entire Camp Snoopy Scare Zone, previously in Acropolis, in order to have enough room for this attraction. Not only was it built on a massive scale, but they give you a friggin' gun. If you've ever played Call of Duty and wondered what Nazi zombies was actually like, this is it. You aren't just meant to imagine you're fighting off a horde of the infected, you actually are. With a laser tag type gun designed specifically for this maze, you are led through a crumbling city with the undead lurking around every corner. The whole idea of a theme park Halloween event is to make you feel like you are in your own horror movie, and nothing has been more immersive than Infected. Fun fact, for my very first audition they wanted me to be one of the squad leaders, however I had my sights set on a more traditional scaring role. I declined the part and have since wondered if that was such a hot idea after all. It really is a shame that this maze won't be returning. If I had it my way, Knott's would have a first-person shooter maze every year while changing up the theme every 3 to 4 years to keep it fresh. I have no doubt that this technology will be utilized in the near future, and I can't wait to see how. The worst part about Knott's Scary Farm is that it's only 29 nights out of the year, which makes the waiting unbearable. At least we know the brilliant minds within are working tirelessly year-round to make sure each year is the best year yet. Well, there you have it, folks. The top 10 Knott's Scary Farm mazes that I've seen in my time as chosen solely by me. My point being, the beauty of the event is that there are so many mazes to choose from. This was 10 out of dozens and dozens, and that's not even counting the shows, the scare zones, the hosts, the themes, the designers themselves. Whatever it is you're all about, I highly encourage you to form your own opinion by experiencing as many of these attractions as possible, if only through the lens of these great YouTubers that I featured here. The mazes are only getting better as time goes on, and I know there are plenty of others I could have put on this list. Is your favorite maze on this list? Did I miss your maze? Go ahead and let me know in the comments down below. And please don't forget that you guys have a say in these videos, so tell me if there's anything you want to know about Knott's Scary Farm. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, stay tuned for the rest of the series, check out my other haunt vlogs from previous years if you haven't done so already. And as always, comment, like I said, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Click that bell so you're notified when a new video comes out. And another reminder about my Etsy shop, I have some sweet Scary Farm stuff left still. It's going fast. I got some other theme park stuff too, but there will be a link in the description, and I'm going to give you guys a coupon code as a thank you for watching. This was the top 10 mazes. In my next video, I will be talking about the 2019 season. So until that next haunt vlog, I'm Braham and I will see you in the fog.